either stance, that's a real problem for Canelo, because he will just be switching, and you don't know where the shots are coming from, and it's so easy for him to do so. And I think the thing that really made me appreciate him is there's many times where I've seen people try and trade with him and slug it out.
I don't know if it's reachable for him. If anybody can do it, it's him, and I'm contradicting myself. I just don't see it happening, you know? Could it happen? Yeah, it's boxing.
1. Terence Crawford is reportedly teaming up with Gennady Golovkin in preparation for his highly anticipated fight against Canelo Alvarez. Their training partnership is said to focus on enhancing Crawford's timing, punching power, and overall ring intelligence. With Golovkin's world-class experience and technical knowledge, this collaboration could give Crawford a critical advantage as he heads into one of the biggest and toughest challenges of his boxing career. When boxing analysts study Terence Crawford, they don't see just another fighter. They see a rare, extraordinary talent. Crawford blends speed, precision timing, and an exceptional ability to read his opponents with ease. He is celebrated for his smooth stance switching and seamless mid-fight adjustments, a rare skill that only elite boxers possess. His boxing IQ is often praised as genius level, allowing him to dismantle opponents strategically and efficiently. What sets him apart is his adaptability, intelligence, and unmatched ring awareness. Many observers consider him more than just a great fighter. They view him as a master controlling fights with brilliance and strategy.
Who can do it? It's Terence Bud Crawford, a man who survived getting shot in the head, for God's sakes. Like, he is not normal. He is a wizard of boxing. He's got genius IQ, one of the smartest boxers I've ever seen, and he can do it all. He's had over 40 fights. I can't ever remember seeing him, like, shook or worried. I mean, this is, trained killers trying to take his head off, and he never looks out of pocket. He is like a rapper who just turns up and figures out his lines on the fly and still makes it sound like the best song you've ever heard. Like, that's how amazing he is. Like, I've never seen anyone who can fight out both stances the way Crawford can. I mean, he looks so natural in either stance. That's a real problem for Canelo, because he will just be switching, and you don't know where the shots are coming from, and it's so easy for him to do so. And I think the thing that really made me appreciate him is there's many times where I've seen people try and trade with him and slug it out, and when they stand in the pocket and they just go for it. And even in those situations where usually both of you are getting hit, he still manages to hit and not get hit. It's like he's in the Matrix. And this isn't against average fighters, this is against the best in the world at 4 different weight classes, and he's made it look easy pretty much every time he's moved up. I think in the Errol Spence fight, that was a fight that was supposed to be 50-50. The pressure was on. A lot of people thought he was going to lose that fight. He made that look like a boxing lesson, and the reason is when Errol Spence would throw a punch and not get out of the pocket quick enough, he would make him pay every single time. And if people are worried about Canelo's feet being slow, if there's anyone who can punish that, it's Terence Bud Crawford. In terms of weaknesses, these guys, they don't really have weaknesses. They've just got things that they maybe not as amazing at. That's the level we're talking here. Canelo has been accused of being a bit of a slow starter, and that could be.
Mikal Fox recently shed light on a key factor in the upcoming showdown between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. According to Fox, the only true disadvantage Crawford faces is the weight. Moving up to challenge a naturally bigger, stronger fighter like Canelo is no small task. The size difference could allow Canelo to apply physical pressure, making exchanges of raw strength more difficult for Crawford. However, Fox emphasized that outside of this physical disparity, Crawford has the advantage in nearly every technical area of the sport, that Crawford's exceptional footwork enables him to create angles that frustrate pressure fighters, while his sharp, precise jab controls distance, sets up combinations, and breaks an opponent's rhythm. His timing, often described as elite, allows him to exploit even the smallest mistakes. More importantly, Crawford's boxing IQ stands among the best in the modern era. He possesses a rare ability to adapt seamlessly mid-fight, switching stances and tactics based on what the situation demands. Fox concluded that these qualities make Crawford an incredibly tough matchup for Canelo. If Crawford can withstand the physicality and prevent Canelo from dominating with power shots, his superior skills could shine through, giving him a legitimate chance to outclass the Mexican superstar.
I think the only disadvantage Bud really has is the weight. I think he has all the skills and attributes that are required to beat a beat a guy like Canelo Alvarez. Canelo's kind of flat-footed. You see the fights with the ball, the aura, and even school didn't do much, but you see that movement irritates Canelo. You know what I'm saying? When dudes that know how to control the range and stuff like that, he didn't look like the world beater. You know what I mean? The motherfuckers that sat in front of him, them dudes that sat in front of him, you see what he did with him. You know what I mean? But guys like Bivol, who was bigger, but he bounced in and out. Laura, motherfucking landed counter lefts, and he's circling out, and that shit was fucking with Canelo. Floyd, you know, it probably killed Canelo that Floyd was always only an inch away. You know, a little step back, you know what I'm saying? And you like, I feel like I missed by a mile.
That's crazy, because he didn't use no movement.
Right.
He stood in the pocket.
Right. Yeah, I mean, G was, you said G?
No, I said Floyd didn't use no movement.
Yeah. He was always where he needed to be in the ring. He was always where he needed to be in the ring. I'm in there to land, then I'm just right here. In there to land, but now I'm right here. It just, bad motherfucker, Joe. Like that's what we know. You gotta understand. Floyd was a bad motherfucker. But the movement, having good feet under you, helps against Canelo.
When new training photos of Terence Crawford's physique appeared online, Showbiz the Adult noted the mix of curiosity and skepticism they sparked. The images showed Crawford in peak condition, with a sharper, more muscular frame than usual. Immediately, questions arose about their authenticity. Were they genuine or digitally enhanced to intimidate Canelo Alvarez before their clash? While acknowledging Crawford's reputation for discipline and dedication in training, Showbiz pointed out that such dramatic physical changes inevitably fuel debate. The reaction underscores how intensely fans and analysts scrutinize every detail when a super fight of this magnitude approaches.
And amazing is this photo photoshopped, because this photo that Gennady Golovkin posted of Terence Crawford is the latest photo we've seen, and he looks just less impressive in this photo. Well, the question is really, when were the photos taken? All right, so when you look at this photo and you look at this photo and look at this video of Terence Crawford with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh as Terence Crawford is working out, supposedly just yesterday, right? Which one is Terence Crawford's latest appearance? Because even though this is the latest photo you've seen, doesn't mean this is when the photo was taken. The only reason why people are confused is because this latest photo seems to have been taken in Vegas. And we're approaching fight week, and Terence Crawford is already in Vegas, hence the video with him with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh in Vegas. Now, let me explain all of this. Well, first you gotta look at the hairstyles, right? Terence Crawford in this photo from Ilia Topuria, his hairstyle is totally different than this hairstyle here with Terence Crawford shredded wheat. It is also different than his hairstyle that he has here in the gym with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh. You can tell because you can tell how the hair braid, like how it's parted in this photo, and in this photo, they're more parted down the middle, where this video is slanted, it's in like a diagonal slant, which I'm thinking is his latest.
Adam Smith recently offered an in-depth breakdown of why he favors Terence Crawford over Canelo Alvarez, emphasizing timing as a key factor. In his view, boxing isn't only about skill, but also about facing opponents at the right or wrong stage of their careers. Smith explained that Canelo Alvarez, despite his incredible resume, has endured years of punishing battles against elite fighters. Those wars, he argued, have naturally taken a toll on Canelo's body and may have reduced some of his speed, explosiveness, and sharpness. Although Canelo remains highly skilled and dangerous, Smith believes he is no longer operating at his absolute peak. By contrast, Terence Crawford appears to be entering the prime of his career. He is undefeated, carries great momentum, and shows no signs of slowing down. Crawford is not only physically sharp, but also mentally driven, still hungry to prove himself against the biggest names in boxing. Smith suggested that this combination of form, motivation, and energy gives Crawford a distinct advantage. Ultimately, Smith argued that the timing of this matchup works in Crawford's favor. Facing Canelo at a stage where his sharpness has slightly diminished, Crawford has the perfect opportunity to cement his legacy with a defining victory.
Vegas to see, I think Terence Crawford beats Canelo, and I think that it's going to be his coming out party. I'd love to be there, and Canelo, of course, an all-time great. Yeah, but listen, I love Ireland, and I'm pleased to be in Belfast with the zone for Crocker and Donovan. There's something about an all-Irish fight which is fantastic, and it was great and controversial first time around. It's even bigger now, so yeah, let's chat over there and get on with it.
Just a quick one on Canelo Crawford. I heard you pick Crawford. You just said it there. How much of that is down to timing, and how much of that is down to styles?
A bit of both. I think Canelo is approaching 70 fights. He's been beaten before. Crawford remains undefeated. I think that the jump up is big, but I think he's got the speed, the IQ, the experience, the know-how to be able to handle it. If he's switched on for every minute of every round, I think he wins, and I think he announces himself to the world on Netflix. And I think he deserves it. I think Terence Crawford's only been really known to the trade fans. Canelo, obviously, a bigger name, bigger star, and look, I fancy Crawford in this fight. Look, nothing against Canelo. Maybe it's a little bit of time in the skull fight. I don't know, but there's plenty that fancy Canelo be too big, too strong, too good. It's Crawford for me.
On TalkSport Boxing, the debate over Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford grew heated, with strong opinions on both sides. Some commentators argued that if Crawford were to suffer a devastating loss to Canelo, it could potentially end his chances of competing again at the highest level. They pointed to Canelo's natural size and relentless pressure as possible deciding factors. Others countered that Crawford's superior skills, adaptability, and boxing intelligence could expose Canelo's vulnerabilities. The split in opinion mirrored the broader boxing community. What stood out most, however, was the bold prediction that a defeat could jeopardize Crawford's future in marquee fights, underlining the immense stakes surrounding this clash.
Big argument that Canelo Alvarez starts the favourite going into this one because he's the super middleweight world champion. Bud Crawford jumping up two weight divisions, and he's jumped up a weight division before that as well, beating Errol Spence. You just look at it and go, it's a massive ask here for Terence Crawford. But something inside me tells me he wins, and we'll get into that later on.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute, but in the meantime, Canelo, as ever, has left no stone unturned. He's been training at altitude in Sierra Nevada, looking to get the maximum body stamina and preparation advantage. It's something that he's used to, and of course he's going to effectively be the home fighter because Tex-Mexers will be up in their numbers from Texas, also Hispanic fans from all around the United States. The fight is being made on Mexican Independence Day. I don't think you have to be a great crystal ball gazer to know where the bulk of the crowd is going to be rooting when they step out inside those ropes and their names are bellowed out by the ringside announcer afterwards.
Listen, even though the fight happens in America and Terence Crawford is American, it is going to be so pro-Mexican there, because Canelo is accepted. He's like an adopted son there, and Mexican Independence Day, all of that goes so much in favour of Canelo Alvarez. You go, actually, the guy that's a four-division world champion and a superstar of the sport and American will start probably the fan favourite will definitely be Canelo Alvarez.
Yeah, definitely. And he's been training with somebody, sparring with a man who he thinks replicates Crawford's style in sparring many rounds against Yaron Ennis.
George Ferocious Kambosos Jr. shared his perspective on the matchup by stressing the effectiveness of Canelo Alvarez's relentless pressure style. In his view, Canelo is most dangerous when he's closing the distance, cutting off the ring, and unleashing powerful combinations. Kambosos pointed out that Canelo's greatest strength lies in delivering heavy, accurate punches while keeping constant forward momentum. He predicted that Canelo will bring the same strategy against Terence Crawford, attempting to force him onto the back foot for much of the fight. The real test for Crawford, Kambosos explained, will be whether he can withstand those punishing shots and prevent Canelo from dictating the pace. For Kambosos, Canelo's pressure is a weapon no opponent can afford.
Canelo is the pressure fighter. He's got to put the pressure on Crawford. He has to be able to land his big shots. He's seasoned at fighting a super middleweight. he's fought as high as light heavyweight, as we know. So he is accustomed to the bigger punches, the bigger shots. I don't think Crawford can really land anything that's going to trouble a guy like Canelo Alvarez. You know, Canelo is such a good pressure fighter, and for him to be successful in this fight, he needs to be able to really cut the ring off very, very well with a guy like Terence Crawford. Now, we saw in Canelo's last fight against Skull that he was not able to really cut him off well. So that has caused a lot of doubters, you know, and people starting to think, you know, Crawford will have that edge in the footwork and the movement department. But, you know, when you're fighting a big fight, you're going to get up for a big fight, and he's really going to be at his best against a guy like Terence Crawford. So I believe he will cut the ring off, you know, very, very well. And for him to be successful, he has to land shots on Crawford, put him in two frames of minds, make Crawford double think every time Canelo goes in and wants to land shots and land shots. Now, a guy like Crawford is so slick, so dynamic, able to punch you from different angles and, you know, different stances. We see he switches from orthodox to southpaw. He might fight the whole fight in southpaw. So he's so dynamic. Now, he's the kind of guy that he's going to put Canelo in two kind of frames of mind.
Some analysts point to Terence Crawford's performance against Israil Madrimov, noting he didn't appear entirely comfortable at the higher weight. They argue that moving up yet again to face Canelo Alvarez is an even greater challenge, one that could expose vulnerabilities. Against Madrimov, Crawford was still adapting to division, and his power seemed less dominant than at welterweight. The concern is that against Canelo, a naturally bigger, stronger fighter, this limitation could become more apparent. Those who share this view believe the size and weight disparity could neutralize Crawford's usual advantages, making this step a particularly risky move in his career.
But a lot of people feel Crawford actually lost that fight. So we've got a Crawford who's coming in off the back of, well, his previous two fights. One of them was brilliant performance. The other one was a bit lackluster by his very high standards, albeit against a very, very good fighter. But you could see in that fight that the size of Israil Madrimov, bear in mind, 154 pounds. Israil Madrimov still fights at 154 pounds. This is super middleweight, 2 divisions more. And we've seen Canelo when he's brought someone up from 154 who was a decent size 154 pounder in Charlo. Crawford's not going to do what Charlo did. Charlo fought like, you know, someone who was completely scared out of his mind and just didn't want to knew he wasn't going to win, but didn't want to get stopped. That was really the look we were getting from Charlo. Crawford is not going to do that. He's a very proud man. He doesn't know what it's like to be defeated. He fully believes in himself and the shape he looks in phenomenal shape. He's coming into this fight fully believing that he can win this, and that right there is the mindset you need to have. It will give you, it won't guarantee you victory, but it will give you a better chance than if you went in there thinking, right, just survive and see what happens. I do think that the size difference will be something. Although saying that, look at Canelo Alvarez, we look at his most recent performances, and when's the last fight from Alvarez that's really made you stand up and take note? Caliplant, Billy Joe Saunders, maybe those 2 fights, they were good performances. Lost, clearly, the Dimitri Bivol fight, although it's very close here, it was on the scorecards, it was a clear loss. Against Triple G, it was just a meh performance. Likewise against John Ryder, Charlo, we won't even talk about that. Munguia, it was a bit meh. Again, Berlanga, it was like, okay, and show me.
Former Canelo Alvarez team member Joe Vargas gave his perspective on the upcoming showdown, firmly insisting that Canelo is built differently. Vargas explained that Canelo possesses qualities few fighters can match, highlighting his calmness under pressure, devastating body punching ability, and knockout power in both hands. These attributes, he argued, make Canelo uniquely dangerous. Vargas stressed that Terence Crawford, despite his intelligence and skill, has never faced an opponent quite like Canelo, someone capable of blending raw power with defensive sharpness. He believes this matchup will test Crawford in ways he hasn't experienced before. For Vargas, the fight represents more than just another bout. It's Canelo's opportunity to prove he remains one of boxing's most complete champions.
This is the first time I pick it. I'm going to go with Canelo on this one.
Why is that?
They're both great at what they do. I'm going against Maggie. I heard everything she said right now. She's right on the money on all that stuff, but Crawford has done a lot of great things at a smaller weight. You know, that jump is I don't know. I don't know if it's reachable for him. If anybody can do it, it's him, and I'm contradicting myself. I just don't see it happening. You know, could it happen? Yeah, it's boxing. But I just think Canelo's too good at the little things. And what's Crawford's game plan gonna be? You know, that's what's gonna define the fight to me.
Do you think Canelo knocks him out?
No, but I think, well, if that's the only way I think he's going to win. I think he wants to make a statement. I was going back and forth about Canelo. Like, everybody talks about, like, for example, when Berlanga fought Shiraz. Did I say it right? Shiraz? Berlanga was engaging with Shiraz. He wasn't engaging with Canelo much, you know? Same thing with Ryder. He didn't engage with Canelo. Munguia did. And it's like, you fight people different. Crawford's not going to fight him the same way he's fought everybody else. Yeah.
That's all for today's video. Stay tuned for next,